money. So he's under this illusion that if he, well, I won't call it illusion until you're better off qualified to answer this question, but he feels like purchasing a property automatically means good investment.
Okay.
Is that the case? Because I was under the assumption that purchasing a property, prior to purchasing it, you would have done your calculations, your due diligence beforehand to see whether it's a profitable investment or not.
Yeah.
Because not every property is profitable.
So I don't know if you've answered the question yourself, but you know what I would say about that is there is this illusion that you know you can't go wrong buying property.
Yeah.
And I'll use that as the slogan. And what I'd say is ask hundreds of thousands of people in both the US and the UK and other countries who bought and obviously were subject to the crash in 2007 and 2008. And
we all know someone that was,
well, there you go.
was affected by it.
There you go. And my answer to that is no. Like, you know, I'm very cautious of these people who are these kind of, you know, generalists. You know, if I say this general property is you never go wrong with property. You know, the reality with property is like any other industry, you need to be educated. You need to have a deep understanding, or at least an understanding of how the industry works, what your place is in the industry. You know, one of the things I break down to people like that I speak to in terms of my networking events, etc., is basically there's 3 ways you can make money in property. You can make money through cash flow, you can make money through profits, you can make money through equity. Now, when you understand that, you then, or for me, I then began to, when I first understood that, to start to understand the biggest problem most people have, who generalize and think property, you can't go wrong with property. The biggest problem most of them have is they don't understand those 3 clear, distinctive areas to generate income or generate money. So because they don't understand that, what they do is they go into every deal assuming they're going to make equity, assuming they're going to make profit, and assuming they're going to make cash flow. Now, the reality is any person who laser focuses, you know, there's this analogy, a light bulb spreads light in a whole room, but a laser can actually tear through stuff. A laser can tear through aluminium, steel, etc. So that's just talking about the power of focus. Now, if I focus on cash flowing assets, you know, I may have no intention for these assets to actually appreciate in value. If they appreciate in value, good. If they don't, who cares? But if I focus on cash flowing assets, I'm focusing on one strand. So what that might allow me to do as someone who's learned in the industry is actually take full advantage of what property can offer me. So in a nutshell, I guess what I'm trying to say is, no, I don't believe personally that property is one of those you can't go wrong. You know, and like I said, you know, there's many victims from 2008, etc. But what I will say is that with regards to property, like I shared at the beginning, because it's such an easy context to understand, if you can actually become educated through means of courses, you know, there are specialist property investment trainers out there who train on courses, etc. But if you get yourself educated, you understand the marketplace, you can go and you know, if I use this word, but you can go and dominate. You can go and dominate an area.
You have a heads up, don't you?
Definitely. And you know, education is key, and that's the reason you do this podcast. That's the reason why people work with other people to learn. You know, that's why I believe in mentors. So
yes, definitely. And touching on the podcast as well, that's the reason why I'm sitting here with you, because it's not just an informative and educational for the audience, but it's also informative and educational for myself.
Certainly.
So speaking as a novice, like going out there and looking for property investments, what should I look out for? And instead of me instead of me making the assumptions like the example I just gave, what should I look out for to ensure that the purchase I'm going in for is the right one?
Okay, so
like what are some of the basic steps or some of the basic outlines that should?
If you want me to give you some basics, this is not me. I'm not the creator of this, but the person who I think summarized some of the basics best is a man named Simon Zucchi. So Simon Zucchi's been in the property investment world for a very long time, and you know, he's actually the director of the Property Investors Network, one of which I host in Canary Wharf. And he says that basically there's 5 key things you want to look for when you're looking at a property. And the first one is effectively you want to work with people that are motivated to sell. You know, so you don't really want to be buying properties at the price everyone's buying. You want to effectively try to work with people who are motivated to sell, which gives you an opportunity to potentially buy at a better price if you can. So that's the first thing.
So that desperation, it kind of puts them in a position where they will have to end up selling at a lower price than originally advertised.
Yeah, so I thank you for cutting me because,
Yeah.
because in doing that you give me the opportunity to actually broaden.
Yeah, and
So,
I'm trying to understand as well. Hence why
so firstly, for me, again, I try. My business is all around being ethical. So I wouldn't see it as necessarily the desperation. But I was talking to someone earlier, you know, a very prolific entrepreneur, and one of the things I said to this entrepreneur is, people like doing things on their own terms, and sometimes in life, problems cause people to have to make decisions they wouldn't have normally made.
Yeah.
Now, what I usually break down to people is, in any process of a sell, whether it's, you know, a motivated sell or an unmotivated sell, there are three key cornerstones. Those three key cornerstones are the money, the speed, and the certainty. The reason most people go to Tesco or Marks and Spencer's or Waitrose to shop is because they feel certain that Waitrose, Marks and Spencer's, Tesco will have what they're looking for.
Yeah.
The next thing is, you know, with all the marketing that these big brands do, they assume that it's going to be good for their money, you know, and then they assume because the aisles are labelled well, etc., and the aisles are big and wide, that they'll have speed. So, you know, big brands understand speed, certainty, and the price are basically key factors to any sell.
Yeah.
Now, what happens with every human being is certain factors cause us to promote or value one or two of these constructs more than the other. So, for example, this is what I was sharing with the prolific entrepreneur that I was talking to earlier today. So, for example, you know, if a person works in KPMG, and in KPMG they've got a great apartment in Bermondsey, a 2-bedroom apartment in Bermondsey, they commute into the city, they love their life, and KPMG in London say to them, well, you know what, we want to offer you a position in San Francisco in another office. Now, they tell you that, look, in November is when the project in San Francisco starts, so you need to be able to move to in November.
Yeah.
Now, this person owns this house, they're paying a mortgage on the 2-bed apartment in Bermondsey, but they now need to migrate. So migration is one of the situations I deal with in my business. Now, because they need to migrate, and they need to migrate fairly urgently, again, they potentially now, if they don't have any family or anyone to potentially take over the management, they need to sell this property. Now, they may need to sell because they want to buy in San Francisco, they want to, you know, start in San Francisco, whatever the metrics, but the point is, there's three things of importance to them: speed, certainty, and the price.
Yeah.
Now, if the speed is of so much importance, so much value to them, that could make the price of less value to them. If the certainty of the buyer, so for example, if you're a first-time buyer and you're trying to buy this 2-bed apartment in Bermondsey, you might be like, yeah, I can buy this, but last minute, the mortgage provider might say, well, we're not willing to lend to you because you're a first-time buyer.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're an investor who buys properties 2 a month, or you buy properties 1 a week, you know, whatever level you're on, but if you're a certified investor who can leverage finance, or who has cash in the bank, if we just put it in the most simple construct so people can understand, I can go, knowing I've got the cash in the bank, 330k, I can buy this apartment right now. You know, now an estate agent might come and you know, I've got videos on social media about market value, marketing value, and the difference between them. But an estate agent might come and give you what I call a marketing value and say, oh yeah, that apartment's worth 450. Yeah, now I don't believe in marketing values, I believe in market values.
Okay.
So a market value is the price that a person will pay all day long to buy that property.
Yeah.
A marketing value, which is what an estate agent gives, is the price that they'll give you to put your property initially in the window. And anyone who sold a property knows it only takes a week, 2 weeks before that estate agent's calling you and saying, oh, we're not really getting calls at 450. How do you feel about us moving it down to 420 or 430? Or if we put it at 410, we'll get a lot of calls real quickly. Now, I might say to this vendor, look, the market value is 400. You know, 400 is the price. If you put that in a window, you'll have 3 or 4 people who want to buy it right now.
Yeah, straight away.
So the market price is 400. Forget the marketing value that we started with the agent, because that's a hope value. And the issue a lot of the time with the agent's approach is the agent will give you that 450 just so that the other 2 agents that come who give you 420 and 430 don't get your business. And then they sign you on an exclusivity mandate, and that mandate locks you in for 12 weeks.
So you can't advertise with anyone else
there
within
you go,
that period of time.
There you go, and they then use that 12 weeks to convince you down from 450 to a more reasonable price of maybe the 410 or 400.
Yeah.
So these are, you know, I don't want to call it games. There's lots of great agents out there. I work with agents myself, but this is the playing field that people are in when they
tricks of the trade, basically.
You know, this is the industry.
Yeah.
So the issue with that is, you know, I might come to someone's house and say, look, you know, I got 330 that I can pay you today. you know, and we might have to do, an exchange delay completion. You know, there's hundreds of different approaches we can take to actually buy the property. But the point I'm making is, I might say to the actual vendor, look, I can pay you 450, but I'm going to pay you 450 over a period of 7 years, 10 years, where today I'll give you a 10% deposit of 45k. And that might be enough for him to migrate to start his new ventures in San Francisco. So the point I'm trying to make is, motivated sellers, is one thing. Trying to buy an asset where the price is not always the most important factor, but speed might be the most important factor.
Is that all part of like starting off on a good foot? So you know that you're not purchasing a property which has been overly valued.
Yeah.
So it's just basically getting in there, knowing that you're making the right deal initially.
100%. If you overpay for anything, like you said, you're already starting on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
Just yesterday I did an interview on my. We have a Facebook group, and in that group I do interviews with other property investors. And one of the things the investor I was interviewing yesterday said, which was quite powerful, he just said it simply. He said, you make your money when you buy. Now that's an old property adage. It's an old property adage that a lot of people who are very old school say. You make your money when you buy. So from Simon's 5 fundamentals, as it were, or 5 golden rules, number 1 is buy from motivated sellers, because in a way he's embedding that construct of you make your money when you buy. So number 2 is you always buy in an area with good rental demand. Why is this important? Because, in very simple terms, if there is a crash in the market, if interest rates do go up, if other factors come and sting you, because you bought in an area of very good rental demand, what that allows you to actually do is still generate rent whilst you need to hold that property through means of maybe a storm.
Yeah.
So buy with good rental demand. Another one of the 5 fundamentals or 5 golden rules is to basically make sure that you're cash flowing positive.
Yeah. Sorry, sorry to cut you off, but touch on the previous point that you made. So how do I know an area has high rental demand? So there's on a basic level. Yeah,
there's several different ways, but if you say on a basic level, walk into your local estate agent and ask them simple questions like, I've got an apartment. If you live in, let's use somewhere else besides Bermondsey. Let's use Barking in East London, for example. You might have a 2-bedroom apartment in Barking. Walk into your local estate agents in Barking and just ask them, look, I've got a 2-bedroom apartment here. If I put it on the market with you, how many people would I have wanting to rent it? And at what price? Ask them those questions and they'll tell you. They might say to you, 2-bedroom in Barking, 1,100 a month, and you're going to have 3 people who are ready. I've actually